Alright guys, welcome to Eden's Vine. I'm so sorry I haven't posted in a while. We've been a little busy out here. We've got several irons in the fire, but there is something I want to show you that's pretty real quick, and I can probably get this one up. I do have other videos in the works, so be monitoring YouTube, Facebook, and X for our posts. We do have some interesting videos coming up showing you what we've been doing out here to get this vineyard to look like this. Instead of having all that growth on the vines and everything. So let me take you over here and I'm going to show you what we've done, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about how you can do this yourself. Okay, so walking down this row, I see some places that need new vines, and so what I did here is I saved, because I knew I wouldn't need like if you go to a nursery, you're going to need like 50 to 100 vines, and that's not really practical out here. We have fewer than 300 vines on this property right now, and it doesn't make sense to get the discounted rate, and it's significantly so. It's like $2 or $3 a vine in some cases if you get over 100 vines. If you get over 50, sometimes you get them for like $3 or $4 a vine, sometimes $5. But if you're buying fewer than that, you're going to pay $10, $11, $12, $13, maybe even $15 or more for a grapevine. And so if you're like, oh my gosh, I only have space for like 10 vines, well, you might decide, instead of buying those 10 vines, right, you might decide to buy one vine and do what I did here, which is let it grow a little bit. This is a vine that's probably 3 or 4 years old. Let me show you right quick a younger vine. So this vine right here, this is a younger vine. It still needs some, it's not a younger vine. Got its trunk cut. Okay, let's get over here. All right, so here we've got a younger vine. It hasn't been in the ground that long, probably its second year, maybe its third year. And so after the first year, you're going to see a really thin cane come up. It might reach the cordon wire, which is about 3 to 4 feet high, and you're probably going to cut that back to one of its thickest points, which is somewhere in the middle. So then you can keep what's above it and plant that in the ground. Now, timing is everything. So if I were going to do that with one vine and it were really young, I would wait to do my pruning. And I'm in Texas, North Texas specifically, so I would wait and do my pruning in early March, when I start to see like some bud swell at the tip of the vine. Then I would cut it, and I could put that in the ground, and I'm going to show you how to do that. All right, when it gets a little older, you can save these, and then those can go in the ground too, because you're going to cut this back to like a 2-bud spur, right? So you're going to cut that back down there, and you can keep the upper portion and plant that. So if you've ever seen that movie Guardians of the Galaxy, you might remember the part where Groot takes one for the team, right? And he doesn't survive, and so they take pieces of Groot, plant them, and then they get baby Groot, right? So that's kind of what we're doing here in real life. And you guys can do this with trees, you can do this with other plants, other bushes. Sometimes they're harder to root, sometimes they're easier to root. Sometimes you got to use a stronger rooting hormone. Sometimes you can get by with a lighter rooting hormone. So anyway, I'll show you what that means here in just a second. So anyway, so I did that. I cut those canes off. Okay, and here's a good picture of what I would do. So I usually wait till they're a little bit older, like this. These are very mature vines. So I've got canes in here, and it's much more than I need, And so I would cut this down here in March. Take this, and then I would put wax on the top, okay, and on the bottom I would cut it at an angle, dip that in rooting hormone, put some jelly around it. There's like a moisturizing jelly that you can put around these things and around the roots. and put that in the, and just stick it right in the ground. Now that doesn't have roots anymore, it's just like a stick at that point, right? But you can just, you put that rooting hormone on there, and what ends up happening is these buds, the buds that are in the ground turn into roots. The buds that are in the air turn into shoots. So it's pretty cool the way God made it. All right, so here we've got this is one that didn't work. So they don't always work, but you can see the wax on the top that I put up there to keep it from drying out. And put this in the ground, and if you've got that jelly on there too, and you can find these things on online stores, and you guys probably know which one I'm talking about, but a big online store, you can go find the rooting hormone, you can go find, and you can find stronger rooting hormone, and you can also go find that moisture jelly. It's just like a, I can't remember what it's called. Maybe I'll share the name with you sometime when I remember, but you can just type in moisturizing jelly for roots, or preventative dehydration jelly for roots, and you just put that rooting hormone on there, then you put that jelly on there, and you stick that thing in the ground 2 buds deep. Okay, so 2 buds in the ground, that gives you multiple chances to get a root going. If you want more chances, you could go 3 or 4, but I want to go too much more than that. And then up here you want at least 2 buds sticking out of the ground. So if I had this one, I've got 1 bud, 2 buds, and so that's what was out of the ground, and as you can see, the rest was in the ground, but it didn't root. However, the one next to it did, and so I've got this new grapevine here. So that's why I do 2 or even sometimes 3 if I've got a difficult varietal. In this case, you can still see the wax that was there, and you can see the bud that pushed and the shoot that came from it. Okay, same thing on this side. There's the wax, bud, and pushed. Okay, and so these are 2 grapevines. So now what I can do, because both of them took, is the roots aren't very strong on either of these. So when I come back in March, and if I have a hole somewhere down there that has a dead vine, I can take one of these and move it down there. Okay, all right, so that's a way to to get multiple grapevines from 1 grapevine. Okay, all right guys, that was kind of a short one, so I hope you enjoyed learning how to turn Groot into baby Groot. More or less, and that's what we can do out here with the vines too, and we can do it with some trees that I have planted as well. So and rose bushes too. I've got some rose bushes that I've done this with too, and it works quite well. But it is wise to make sure that you plant multiple cuttings, because they're not all going to take. Okay, but many of them will, and enough of them will on a small scale that it makes sense. All right, you guys have a nice day.